Today, we are digging into a story that really gets to the heart of ambition, family, and what the future of work could look like. We're talking about the incredible memoir from one of the world's most admired CEOs, Indra Nooyi's My Life in Full.
So, let's start with a big question, one that I'm sure echoes in a lot of our lives. Can you really have it all? You know, that high-powered, world-changing career, and at the same time, a deep, present, fulfilling family life. It's a question that honestly can feel impossible to answer. Well, Indra Nooyi, the former chairman and CEO of PepsiCo, she didn't just think about that question, she lived it, day in and day out. Her story is basically a masterclass in how you navigate one of the most demanding jobs on the entire planet while also raising a family. So yeah, let's get into it.
To really understand the leader she became, you have to go back to the beginning. Her journey doesn't start in some fancy boardroom, but in a bustling, multi-generational home back in 1960s Madras, India.
The environment she grew up in was, well, it was a place of powerful contrasts. On one hand, her family was incredibly progressive, especially about educating women. They were constantly pushing her and her sister with this really honest, direct feedback. Not just a simple, great job, but the much tougher, is this the best you can do? And yet, at the same time, it was a home that was steeped in tradition, which gave her this really strong anchor, but also some very clear expectations.
You know, her mother captured this tension perfectly with this incredible metaphor. She saw her job as having one foot on the accelerator, pushing her daughters to be independent and powerful, and the other foot on the brake, making sure they were protected and followed societal norms. This constant push and pull, it would go on to define so much of Nooyi's life.
And wow, did that foot on the accelerator propel her? Next up, we're going to see how she went from the streets of Madras to the halls of Yale and, eventually, right to the very top of corporate America.
I mean, just look at this trajectory. She gets into Yale in '78, and then it's this strategic climb through some of the biggest, most respected companies in the world, BCG, Motorola, ABB, before finally landing at PepsiCo in 1994. Every single step was a calculated move, building her skills and earning her a reputation for being this incredibly sharp and hardworking strategist. And this quote right here, it just perfectly illustrates the challenge she was up against. As she was leaving for America, her parents gave her this advice, which sounds like a total contradiction, right? It just highlights the tightrope she had to walk, staying true to who she was as an Indian woman, while also figuring out all the unwritten rules of American corporate culture. A culture that, let's be honest, was not built for someone like her.
So by the time she becomes CEO of PepsiCo in 2006, she wasn't just showing up to run the company. She was there to completely reshape it. And this led to her landmark vision, something she called performance with purpose.
Okay, so what exactly was performance with purpose? Well, it was a pretty radical idea back then. It completely flew in the face of the old-school business thinking that a company's only job was to make money for its shareholders. Nooyi argued that a company's financial success was directly, and I mean inseparably, linked to how good of a global citizen it was. It meant focusing on human, environmental, and talent sustainability. She was basically connecting profit directly to progress.
This quote, this gets right to the very heart of her philosophy. For Nooyi, a company wasn't some island all by itself. It's part of an ecosystem. If society is struggling, if the environment is failing, then guess what? The business will eventually fail too. So for her, this wasn't just a moral thing. It was a business imperative.
And this wasn't just talk, not at all. She put it into action. She pushed PepsiCo to have healthier options by acquiring brands like Tropicana and Quaker Oats. She invested a ton in making the company more environmentally sustainable, and she used design to build a deeper connection with consumers, all while steering this global giant through the massive 2008 financial crisis.
But here's the thing. While she was reshaping a global corporation in public, she was fighting this really intense personal battle in private. And this is the emotional core of her story, the immense personal cost that came with all of this incredible success.
This famous story says it all. The night she was named president of PepsiCo, she rushes home, bursting to share the news. But before she can even get a word out, her mother tells her to go back out and get some milk. When Nooyi protested, I'm the president now, her mother said, when you get home, just leave the crown in the garage. No matter what her title was at work, at home, she was a wife, a daughter, a mother. The roles were just not interchangeable.
And the weight of that constant juggling act, it fell so heavily on her children.
In one of the most heart-wrenching parts of the book, she shares this note her young daughter wrote on a piece of construction paper. It just begged her to come home. And it ended with the devastating line, "I will love you again if you would please come home." It's a raw, painful look at the trade-offs she was forced to make every single day.
But Nooyi doesn't just share her pain and leave it there. She turns it into this incredibly powerful argument. She basically concludes that her story isn't just about her individual sacrifice. It's a call to action. She argues that for anyone to truly succeed, we have to fix the system itself. Society has to build an infrastructure of support. We're talking paid leave, real flexibility, and affordable, accessible childcare.
So, after all that, what's our final take on My Life in Full? Let's break it all down.
First up, just the basics. The book is My Life in Full by Indra Nooyi. It's a memoir, and it was published in 2021.
Okay, our feedback is overwhelmingly positive. This is such an honest look at leadership, filled with the kind of vulnerability you just don't see from someone at her level. The personal stories are so vivid, they really stick with you. And it's more than just a memoir, it's a powerful call for change in how we structure work and family. The only little downside we could find is that the C-suite perspective, with all its unique resources, might feel a bit distant for some folks.
So what's the final lesson here? I think Nooyi teaches us that real leadership, true leadership, isn't just about your own success. It's about using your power and your platform to build a better, more supportive, and more equitable path for everyone who's coming up behind you.
For its incredible honesty, its impact as a blueprint for change, and its powerful call to action, we are giving My Life in Full a 9 out of 10.
If this story really resonated with you, we'd highly recommend a couple of other fantastic memoirs. First, Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, which has a lot of tactical advice for women in the workplace. And of course, Michelle Obama's Becoming, which is another powerful look at navigating public life and family with so much grace and strength.
And that leaves all of us with one final question to think about. As we're all talking about redesigning the future of work, remote jobs, flexibility, all that stuff, are we actually building systems that support everyone? Or are we just creating new, modern-day crowns that people are still expected to just leave in the garage?
For more explainers that break down the big ideas shaping our world, make sure you follow and subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in.